Welcome back to Buy or Sell, the series where you pitch me your predictions for the theme park world, and I either buy or sell them and explain why. If you want your idea considered for the next video, leave a comment below starting with buy or sell. In this episode, we look at Canada's Wonderland and its standing in the Cedar Fair chain, what Outlaw Run may look like in the near future, and what Magic Mountain's social media teasing of a GIGA really means. This is Buy or Sell, episode 19. Let's start with Jackson Bachman. With the success of Big Bear Mountain, LIMs will make a comeback. LIMs are popular for about 10 years, from the mid-90s to the mid-2000s. From there, LSMs took over, and LIM coasters almost stopped dead in their tracks. You may be asking why. Well, I'm not an engineer, but my understanding is that LSMs are more efficient. It's all about dollars and cents. Then Vekoma comes along in 2023 and builds Big Bear Mountain at Dollywood, the first coaster in 11 years to have an LIM launch. Vekoma said this was because of their family coaster trains. The LIM fin on the bottom just meant they had to change the track's cross ties, and not design a whole new train. I'm selling the LIM making a grand comeback. You may see Vekoma replicate this on similar coasters, but LSMs are still more efficient, and that's going to be the weapon of choice. Official coaster couple. SeaWorld Orlando's next coaster will be one that SeaWorld San Diego already has, and vice versa. This is a thinking man's question, but it makes sense. San Diego's lineup is filling up. They just got a dive coaster, they just got an Intamin straddle coaster, and if you look at Orlando and had to pick one for San Diego, a surf coaster makes a ton of sense. San Diego has a height limit, and the surf coaster doesn't need to go very high. It uses a launch. It can use a surfing theme, which was made for a place like San Diego, so I love the surf coaster for San Diego. Now for Orlando. A slam dunk choice would be the Intamin straddle coaster, right? Well, no, I'm selling this. Recent revelations show that their next coaster, the one that's known as Project Toboggan, is more likely to be a B&M family launch coaster. Big props to ML Designs for making this animation. Check out the full video when you have the chance. So not only is this not part of SeaWorld San Diego, it doesn't exist anywhere. It'll be interesting to see if these B&M family coasters catch on. James Daubert. Within 15 years, Cedar Fair will either add or subtract a park. Cedar Fair likes to play it slow. There's no doubt about that. But even I think they're more ambitious than to stay still for 15 years, so I'm buying this. They recently bought 2 of the Schlitterbahn water parks in Texas. They also closed Wildwater Kingdom in Ohio in 2016. They stopped managing Gilroy Gardens in 2021, and their last big splash was buying the Paramount Parks in 2006. That was 17 years ago. With Cedar Fair doing so well, I can see them trying to expand out a little bit. I can even see them taking over a Six Flags park if that chain starts to spiral. Maybe Discovery Kingdom after Great America closes. Maybe they make a play for Fiesta Texas, or St. Louis, or over Georgia. Geographically, those seem to make sense. Also shout out to Nick Liz Velocicoaster. He had a buy or sell that was specific to Cedar Fair buying a Six Flags park. I think over the next 15 years, that can very well happen. Lent. Canada's Wonderland becomes the second best Cedar Fair park within the next 12 years. Canada's Wonderland is on the rise. The last 15 years have been amazing for the park. And after my last visit in June, I would say this is a pretty solid top 5 Cedar Fair park. Now, if you want it to be top 2, I'm selling that. You would have to bypass Cedar Point and Kings Island, and I don't think it's anywhere near those parks yet. I also think Carowinds has a clear advantage, but it's within reach if Canada's Wonderland gets some new additions, maybe removing some dead weight. There are markers around Flight Deck and Time Warp. That would be a great start to remove those for a nice new launch coaster. Maybe fix up their wooden coasters, either using GCI Titan Track or RMC. Of course, Cedar Fair will keep making Cedar Point, Kings Island, and Carowinds better also, so it's going to be hard for Canada's Wonderland to leap to number 2. Maybe number 3, but not number 2. Commander Calico. If Valleyfair gets a new coaster, it'll be from B&M. If you look at what Valleyfair can use, and who Cedar Fair works with, I like the idea of them working with B&M, so I'm buying this. Everyone knows they could really use a B&M invert, and if you look at what B&M just built at Gronerland with Monster, that seems totally reasonable for Valleyfair. You also see what Cedar Fair is building for Dorney Park. That looks like a dive coaster in the 150 to 165 foot range. That would be different enough from SpongeBob to market effectively. These are great options. They're realistic options, so that's why I'm buying it. However, there are other options. You could see a Vekoma launch coaster here. Either something extreme or family-oriented, something like Big Bear Mountain, or something from Art Engineering like Canada's Wonderland just got this year. So B&M isn't a slam dunk, But anything extreme, I bet, will come from B&M. Adam and M. Given the teasing from Magic Mountain's social media, we will see a Giga come to the park. If you haven't seen it, Magic Mountain's Twitter and Threads accounts are teasing or trolling a Giga. It doesn't say Giga Coaster, just Giga in capital letters. I think everyone is skeptical for obvious reasons, but it does beg the question, what does it really mean? If Busch Gardens Tampa did this, or Knott's Berry Farm, or Dollywood, the reaction would be way different. Six Flags under Salim Basoul has really shunned the idea of a major new coaster, so a 300-foot Giga coaster would not just be a complete 180, it would be a 180 with a 12-mile leap in the other direction. So why tease a Giga if you aren't going to add anything at all? It makes me think there's something that will come out of this. That being said, I'm selling a Giga in its traditional sense. Now, think outside the box. Maybe they're using Giga to describe anything over 300 feet. Maybe a really tall flat ride, like a Giga Starflyer. That would be a cool addition to the park, but nothing really amazing considering New England and over Texas already have Starflyers over 400 feet. It could also be some kind of shuttle coaster with a 300-foot spike. Think of something like Pantheon. Even then, it's hard to believe what kind of ride Six Flags would pay for that would use a 300-foot spike. There is an outside shot that this could be a very simple 300-foot dive coaster, but I wouldn't bet any money on that. The last idea is a play on words. They keep saying Giga in capitals. Maybe this is an acronym for some ride they're planning, like Giant Invasion of Green Aliens. More likely DC themed. Green Lantern, Aquaman, I don't know. But the idea of this teaser troll campaign being absolutely nothing seems unlikely, and the idea of Magic Mountain getting a traditional Giga coaster also seems unlikely. So this is what we're left with. Tiger Rogers official. In the wake of Pipeline success, parks will retrofit their old stand-ups with surf trains. This has been a really popular question. I addressed it a while back, well before Pipeline opened to the public. I think we learned a lot about the surf coaster in the last few months. How the trains ride, how the elements play into the way the seats move up and down, and that makes me want to sell this with confidence. Just because you're in the stand-up position doesn't mean these are basically the same, or that the surf trains are the next generation of the stand-up trains. These are completely different, and they're built for completely different layouts. The stand-up coaster is mostly about inversions. The surf coaster also has airtime hills, launches, other elements that really play off the bouncing seats. I would be stunned if any existing stand-up coaster gets surf-style trains. Poland Canyon to Earth, 5901. Outlaw Run will get iBox track in the next 3 years. RMC didn't build that many topper track wooden coasters, just 4 around the world. The only one that had its track replaced with steel iBox track is Lightning Rod. This is a special case. That was the only launched wooden coaster in the world, a ride with massive reliability issues. So maybe this is a one-off, and the other 3, Wildfire at Kilmartin, Goliath at Six Flags Great America, and Outlaw Run at Silver Dollar City, maybe those never get steel iBox track. That being said, I'm buying this. Herschend owns both Dollywood and Silver Dollar City, and if they saw the benefits of making Lightning Rod more reliable and smoothing it out, maybe they'll do the same for Outlaw Run. I think Outlaw Run is way too rough. More rough than a wooden coaster should be, so maybe some iBox track will be in its future. It may not even be a lot, just in some of the roughest spots, but I can see it happen. Penguin Pat 5020. A new coaster manufacturer will become a big player in the industry in the next 10 years. It's impossible to see this coming, so we just have to guess based on precedent. Most recently, we've seen the rise of Skyline, not only in their flat ride coasters and family coasters, but also their work with GCI's wooden coasters. Over the last 10 years, you've seen the rise of Art Engineering and RMC. Before that, we saw the rise of the Gravity Group back in 2005. This happens quite often, so I'm buying this. Even with a crowded field of long-standing manufacturers, Intamin and B&M and Mock Rides and Vekoma still going strong. By 2033, I bet we see a big splash from some manufacturer we've never heard of today. Shiny Arc. With new investments in Worlds of Fun and the growth of Kansas City, we will see RMC Timberwolf by the end of the decade. When it comes to Worlds of Fun, the jury is still out. Nobody on the outside knows what's going on, and I'm not even sure if Cedar Fair has made their minds up yet. Zambezi Zinger was the park's first new coaster in 14 years. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary, so it made sense to celebrate with a new investment. And now we have to see what's next. I went to Worlds of Fun on a Saturday and it was pretty packed. Something I've never seen at that park before, but I also have never been there on a weekend. I just don't see Zambezi Zinger as a type of ride that will drive a huge sustained boom in attendance. Maybe the natural growth of Kansas City will inspire an influx of investment. I know a lot of people are saying they want to build out the park ahead of the 2026 World Cup. And trust me, I'd love to see it, but I'm selling this. Zambezi Zinger seems like a one-off investment to me. Dorney Park is also getting a new coaster for the first time in 15 years, so it seems like they're taking care of their smaller parks now. If they did get something new by 2030, I would absolutely love to see an RMC Timberwolf. That has a good size, a very long layout. The ride is getting very rough, and it would elevate the park in a way that Zambezi Zinger could never do. That's basically a smaller version of Prowler. Apollo's D's Mize. Florida will get a Raptor by 2030. When you look at the options for an RMC Raptor coming to Florida, there aren't that many good options. Do I see one at Busch Gardens or SeaWorld? Not really. Legoland, Disney, Universal. Sorry, no. Fun Spot. Yes, this is where I think it happens. I'm buying this. I addressed this before Air Force One opened, and how I thought the new RMC Fun Spot relationship would lead to a Raptor at one of the Fun Spot parks in Florida. Now that Air Force One is open, we have to see how happy Fun Spot is with RMC. It seems like RMC has made some friends over the years, like with Six Flags, but Cedar Fair not so much. Air Force One apparently doesn't break down too much, but it also has a bad habit of overshooting the brakes. I'm also not sure how much the ride is helping their attendance. That shouldn't necessarily affect Fun Spot's decision to build a Raptor in Florida, but any maintenance problems that come about, and how happy they are with RMC in solving these problems. That will be huge in making or breaking this relationship. The jury is still out, but I'm willing to buy this for now. Keith's Transit Experiences 9749. A wooden coaster in Canada gets GCI Titan Track. Having just come from Canada's Wonderland, I'm buying this for one coaster in particular, Wild Beast. This was an absolute train wreck from start to finish, but I low-key thought the ride was pretty good. Sometimes it's hard to appreciate a ride's forces, especially when its main force is jackhammering your teeth out. Still, I kinda wanted to re-ride Wild Beast. This layout may actually benefit not from RMC, but from GCI Titan Track. It's clear at this point, 42 years after the park and these wooden coasters opened, they don't have a burning desire to tear them down, so Titan Track on Wild Beast makes sense. There are other options too. Mighty Canadian Mindbuster, Monster at La Ronde, but I would love to see this on Wild Beast. T-Roy 91, SeaWorld's thrill ride spending spree lasts through 2030. It seems like at some point these investments will stop paying off, or maybe the payouts will slow down. At some point you're gonna draw as many people as you can, or maybe you run out of space. At these parks, nothing will be old enough to remove for something even newer. This limit will differ from park to park, but for now, if it's not broken, don't mess with it. But will it last for the next 7 years? I'm selling that. That's a long time to keep flooding these parks year in, year out. And I think after a few more years, you may see it start getting spaced out. SeaWorld has proven me wrong before. I thought they would take a chill pill post-COVID, but after a 2-year hiatus, they're back and more aggressive than ever. I hope I'm wrong, because it's awesome to get new coasters every year from coast to coast. But doing this every year through 2030 doesn't seem like a good bet. That's a wrap on episode 19. Let me know what you think of any of these topics, if you agree or disagree, and why. Also, don't forget, if you want your idea considered for the next video, leave it in the comments below, starting with buy or sell. Before you go, don't forget to drop a like, and if you're new here and love coasters, please give me a sub. I have a playlist with all the buy or sell episodes. Also, check out my links below for my Discord server, and my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage, and my baseball channel if you also happen to love baseball. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.